Welcome to the podcast, Profits Unleashed podcast, where we inspire coaches, consultants, business owners to use podcasting as a way to get their message out there to the people who need to hear it. Now, after the break, I will be debunking the myth that it's too late to start a podcast, right? But first, this episode, you're not behind, you simply haven't started yet. Today's guest is someone who knows what it means to turn challenges into fuel for success. So I'm excited to welcome Coach Willie Blake, the dyslexic career and high performance coach. Willie helps dyslexic professionals and entrepreneurs who feel stuck or behind trade self-doubt for confidence, clarity, and consistent action using simple but powerful frameworks, the 2% rule and his GPS goal method. He helps his clients stop the overthinking, right? And finally step into the career that they really want. So this conversation is all about reframing how we see progress and recognizing that you're not behind. You simply haven't started yet. So welcome to the show, Willie.
Oh, Karen, thank you for having me on.
Okay, you've got to share a little bit of your backstory now then. So where does this come from? What inspired you to help coaches deal with these struggles?
Yeah, all the way when I was a little kid, there's two things I wanted. First was I wanted to be an author. And then the second one is I wanted to be a teacher. And as I grew up, I didn't want to go the traditional route of teaching because I kept learning that there are so many regulations and so many expectations that you have on it that I never felt I could fully use the abilities that I had in that type of setting. And so as I grew up, I was diagnosed first grade dyslexia, struggled with reading, writing, and speaking. And throughout elementary, middle, high school, even into college, I felt lonely at times. The friends that I did have, they were walking to honors classes, and I was walking a few doors down to what I considered the dumb class where nobody wanted to work, nobody wanted to do anything. And I felt out of place for what I thought I was supposed to be at that time. And so I always felt growing up, I was trying to catch up to this thing that I held to myself. I always wanted to catch up to my friends who were doing so great, and on paper everything was awesome, but on paper for me, I was just a struggling kid. But I never felt that way. And it was about halfway through college, and this was about 2018, where I decided I don't think dyslexia has been holding me back, because I was starting to learn more about it. I came across the statistic that said 95% of CEOs read 50 or more books a year. And I thought, ain't no way, as a dyslexic, I'm going to read that much. But maybe I can start with 12. And so I started reading. It was the slowest thing in the world. But eventually I got to 12 books, and then to 40, and then to 50. And then now I consistently read 60 books a year.
Wow.
And it was along that process that I was learning of what worked for me and what didn't work for me. Because a lot of times people think that reading is just paper book reading. I personally think that's just part of it. Because my opinion on it is that my goal when I read self-development, personal development, is to learn the lessons from it. So if I'm listening to it, I'm still going through those books. So I learned about this cool thing called Audible and audio books, and I started listening. I could listen a lot faster than I can read. So that helped go from that 12 to then accelerate it forward. And as I was doing that, then people started talking about this thing called coaching. And I'm just like, what is this coaching? And they explained it to me, and I'm like, cool. So I started out as the success coach, which appealed to no one because I was trying to sell everyone. And then I went down to now I'm an empowerment coach. And then a year later, now I'm a dyslexic coach because I've dealt with that my entire life, and I can share my experience with it. And layer by layer, over the 6 or 7 years that was happening, I now help dyslexic entrepreneurs and professionals to gain clarity with their dyslexic edge. Brilliant. And I wouldn't have gotten there if it wasn't just slow and steady, 2%, the 2% rule is one thing I do. 2% action every single day to help me get to where I wanted to go. So that's like the whole story of
Love
how I
that.
became a coach.
Love that. But isn't it interesting that what, and I would say this is the big problem really with school, college, is that we have been conditioned to compare ourselves to everybody else. Which then, yes, if we all have our own little challenges, because we're all unique, we're all different, that we have prejudged our own ability way too soon, and that is the biggest trouble. I love the fact, oh yeah, I'm a yeah, audible, love it. And then this is the beauty, right? Things have progressed so much that there are tools out there that if you do have a particular challenge in whatever area, there's going to be something that's going to help you. There could be, in reading books, you could get ChatGPT to give you the summary and the key takeaways, right? There's so many different ways. You don't have to do it. I love what you said earlier. You wanted to teach, but you didn't want to go down that route of it's my way or the highway, which unfortunately a lot of these places are, and not everybody learns in that way, right? My daughter
Yeah.
loves to have physical books. She loves to read books. I can't do that. I'm ADHD myself. I want to listen, and that's exactly how I do it. Love what you're doing. Now, a lot of people will think maybe, yeah, I can't do this because they've taken ownership of that label that they've been given. So how are you doing this? How are you helping them get over this particular challenge? What's your process?
The first part of it is drop the label. You
Yeah.
gotta drop the label. Because think about it this way. This is how I explain it to clients that I work with. You are not fat, you have fat. You are not lazy, you just do lazy things. You are not, on the flip side, I was trying to figure out how to put discipline into it, but it will be in a second. So the label of I am this, or here we go, I am a procrastinator. No, you just procrastinate on some things. And so when you put it that way, it brings back this power back into you of, instead of me labeling myself as I am this, and so every single way that the world describes it as envelops me as this title. That's why I'm just not a big fan of titles, or at least I'm not a big fan of people holding on to the title so strong that they can't change. So people who are out there who, just like in these examples, who might be struggling with their weight, you just have fat on your body. I've struggled being overweight my entire life, and it's just been over the last year that I've started to release it into the world. I don't want it back. I'm going to release it away. I'm not holding it captive. Now that I'm thinking about I'm releasing this away, it's starting to flow away, because that is just something that is there. I just have fat. I am not fat. If you are
Mm,
lazy, you think about discipline. And this is something else I do. Whenever big words or words that are kind of jargon come up, I always define them, because
mhm.
if I define them, then I can change them. So when it comes to discipline, when I think of discipline, when it comes to discipline, it is doing something for a long period of time consistently. So if that's what the definition is to me, then that means I am disciplined in a lot of things. I am disciplined whenever open my laptop to do some work. I'm disciplined at whenever I'm with my family, I'm there. But I'm also disciplined at watching YouTube and Netflix, and also disciplined at open and playing games on my phone. You come both ways. We're disciplined with X, Y, and Z. But if we want to become disciplined with A, B, and C, all we got to do is simply spend less time with X, Y, and Z, and a little bit more time with A, B, and C. And by
Mhm.
putting it that way, that releases the label of I'm this procrastinator, I'm lazy. And instead, it's just, no, you're just spending your time on these things, regardless of if it was because of your past and experience or your choices, whatever it is, you're just spending time there. So if
Mhm.
you want to change it, less time over here, and simply more time over here. So
Mm,
releasing those labels of I am this insert negative thing, release it and just say, I have this.
mm,
And then realize that the only thing that's different is the time that you spend in those certain things. And you simply
mm.
spend less in it and then more in the things that you want.
Brilliant. And that is from what I'm hearing from you is be a little bit kinder to yourself. You don't have to do
A
everything
little bit, a lot of it, yeah.
overnight. Just transfer those skill sets and you can do it slowly, a little less, a little bit more, and then you just improve small incremental improvements over time make massive results. And you're so right about the labeling. This is why I don't, yeah, I'm with you there. These labels, it's because people then own it, and for some it then becomes an excuse as to why they can't go and do things because I'm XYZ. When, yeah, I love that. It makes it sound more, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, just less rigid, it can move, it can change. It's transitional. It's
Yeah.
not nothing is permanent. And that if you just it is a flip, it's a change in the mindset. And I love the way you shared about it's in the language that we speak to ourselves, because we're the ones that are listening to
Yeah.
our voices in our head that are telling us we can't do something because of this, that, and the other. So it's changing it from that way. Fantastic. Now, you did say something earlier that I'd like to pull up on. You did say right at the beginning that you wanted to be a teacher and you
Mhm.
wanted to be an author. So you've gone into coaching. Have you become an author? Or are you planning on being an author?
Yes, yes. I am an author. I am a part of several best-selling books with other co-authors. So I have become that, and then I also have my own book that I have finished the first draft and am now editing and hopefully soon getting it out there.
And that you've just described there really is proof of your own process by doing, rather than saying, I'm going to be an author, I'm going to write this whole book, you've started out being a co-author of quite
Mhm.
a few bestsellers. So you've just actually proven how things can be done throughout your whole process, because there you go. You didn't start by doing your own book. You've started by co-authoring multiple books until you get to the stage where you're now ready to do your own book. Love that.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
and if I can share this, I've learned this recently because I always got down on myself so many times of just this example of I want to be an author and this is the way it should look. This is how the journey should be. The steps taken. I got this perfect plan. I think it was, I think my wife showed me her paper that when she was a teenager had written down everything she wanted in a husband. She's like, this is exactly what I want in a husband. And I'll tell you, I probably matched like 2 out of those 15 things. Well, we have a fantastic marriage and it's been great. And she's, I choose you over these 15 things. So I think, I know I get set up of, I have to control the journey when in reality, solidify the long term goal, that big dream, finish line, Northern Star, whatever you have, solidify that. That's where you're aiming for. But in the journey, be adaptable. Be
Be
adaptable
open.
in the short one as you're going. Be open about it and as you're going in the direction for the thing that you want.
Brilliant. Because I bet if you were to interview many successful people, if you asked them, did they, when they mapping out their goals and how they're going to, I bet the journey was different to what they had first thought in their head when they initially wrote the goal, because that's how it goes. You've got to be open to the opportunities that can come. I know, for instance, my thing with doing a podcast, right? The opportunities that come my way weren't specifically the things that I thought that there was going to come out of it. Sometimes there have been complete surprises, which is great. So not being so rigid, again, going back to don't be so rigid. You can be rigid with the big goal, but yes, be open to, yeah, who knows? Who
Who
knows?
knows? Life is going to throw out what life throws out. And we just keep moving along the way. Keep turning that steering wheel.
Love that. So why do you think so many people that maybe do struggle with things like dyslexia, what do you think, why are they not stepping into their genius, if you like? What do you think is the big reason why they're playing small, maybe, or using that as an excuse as to not achieve XYZ?
The first thing that came to my mind that has come to my mind the last couple of years is people just don't know what's out there. Because I think about when I first started out on my journey, I didn't know who Tony Robbins was, I didn't know who Gary Vee was, or any of these amazing entrepreneurs and professionals. I had no clue who they were. I was just picking up a book. The first book that I got was a small purple book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was the beginning for me. That's all I knew. I didn't know who this Robert Kiyosaki guy was. I just knew that he wrote this cool small book that I could say I read a self-development book, and it was pretty small. I think we just don't know what we don't know.
Mm.
And so for us who do know, we have I'm going to use the word calling. We have the calling and probably the obligation that if this is the path we're going down, coaches, teachers, influencers, if this is the path we choose to go down, then we need to do our part in sharing that with people who might just be ignorant. And not ignorant in a bad way, but they just don't know what they don't know. So us sharing with them what there is then opens their mind to everything else that's in this world. And I'm going to put an and in there. Once they do know, then I would say the next step is, because I think a lot of people who are listening now are starting to get that realization. The next step is start believing in yourself just a little bit more. Because the person who wakes up with you in the morning and the person that you're laying down with at night is yourself. You're always with yourself. You're the only person that gets to understand the book of life that you wrote. You're the only person that's with you 24/7. So you only know everything in your life. Everyone else gets tidbits, but only you know. So if you start believing in who you are and what you can achieve and the dreams that you've had, then that's the beginning of the process to then start going towards the goal that you want.
Brilliant. Again, be a little bit kind to yourself, especially if you believe that you do have these specific challenges. There is a way forward. It doesn't have to hold you back. So for you, right? Yeah, okay. So you've got your book you're working on, but with you helping people specifically to get over this, what does this look like? How do you work with people?
Yeah. So the first kind of the process we go down is the first thing is we follow my GPS method that I have, which is acronym. There we go. An acronym. Dyslexia got me on that one. Acronym, which is GPS, which is get clarity, plan it, not like Mercury or Mars, but like plan space it, and then start now. And so what I walk through people with is first with the get clarity. You got to know what you want. You got to know where your destination is. So if I'm wanting to go from where I'm at to Walmart, I need to know which Walmart I'm going to. That's the same with our goals. We got to know where we're going and also where we're at so that we know the path that we need to head. Then after that, once we know that, then we can go to the planning of it, which then if you've ever gone to a restaurant like IHOP or someplace with a kids menu, they have sometimes the mazes on there. Whenever I do the mazes, I never go from start to finish. I always start in the back and visualize going all the way. That way, when I finally put crayon to paper, then I can do it flawlessly. And that's what we got to do with our goals is whatever that final destination part is, start there and work your way backwards so that you have those milestones and a blueprint in front of you. So then when you do the third thing, which is start now, then you know the direction you need to head and you can start putting the foot on the gas pedal and driving forward.
Brilliant. And you don't have to do it all in one go. It's those, again, incremental steps, small steps over time will get you to the destination. So for the listeners out there, if they're Like, okay, maybe it's time that I get some help with this because let's face it, nobody does this alone. Nobody. Everybody has anybody who achieves anything has a coach, right? And so if you're having any struggles, specifically dyslexia, and you're like, your ears are pricking up, for them, what should the listeners do next? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, how they get in touch with me, you can go to coachwillieblake.com. And there we'll have all the resources from my podcast and socials to working one-on-one with me and my free giveaways that I give to people who listen. So coachwillieblake.com is the best place to start when it comes to if you are an awesome professional entrepreneur who is dyslexic and also ADHD and autism. I work with a lot of neurodivergent people. So even if you don't have dyslexia, but this kind of rings in the ear, more than happy just to jump on a call with that person and just lay out this plan for them.
Brilliant. And if you missed that, just go back to the show notes. All Willie's details will be in there. Look, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you for taking your time out and speaking to the listeners. And guys, I will be back after the break and I will be debunking that myth, right? Around, is it too late to start a podcast? No, it isn't. Bye for now. So I'm back. So I'm going to debunk the myth of, is it too late to start a podcast? Listening to Willie just now, I just kept thinking about how many of us feel like we're behind. Because we do. We compare ourselves to people who are further down the road, and we start to believe that lie, that it's too late for us. And I do hear this same thing all the time when it comes to podcasting, right? Isn't it too late to start a podcast because there's so many out there already? How will mine stand out? Who will listen to me? Let's look at the numbers. You know, right now, there are about 5 million podcasts worldwide. Now, that sounds huge, right? But here's the thing. Less than 20% are actively publishing new episodes. That means over 80% of podcasts have already gone silent. The reality is this. It's not saturated. It's actually a graveyard of shows that didn't stay consistent. I say this all the time. People give up too soon. And this is really good news for you. Because they do. Most people quit too soon. Most people stop before they build the momentum. And that leaves a huge opportunity for the ones who do stay consistent. Because the truth is, podcasting is still growing. Audiences are still expanding. New listeners are discovering shows every single day. And they're not just looking for the big, flashy celebrity podcasts. They're looking for the authentic voices that they can connect with in specific niches that speak directly to their needs. If you've been sitting on the sidelines thinking it's too late, there's too many out there, just let me remind you of this. You are not behind. You just haven't started. And the moment that you do, if you commit to consistency, you'll already be ahead of the 80% who gave up. Consistency beats saturation every single time. I've said this countless times that, you know, the stats show that 90% of podcasts don't make it past 3 episodes. I find that really sad. And then out of the 10% that do, 9% don't make it past 20. The proof is there. That is absolutely true. And I am so grateful that I continued. I am so grateful that I just made a commitment to showing up. And so a big thank you to everybody out there who does listen to this, because I do believe, just like Willie, everybody has a story and they do need to get their message out there to the people who need to hear it. So going back to Willie, anybody out there who is struggling, whether it's I can't even say it, dyslexia, ADHD, whatever, and you need a coach, go back to the show notes and find how you can reach out to him. And if you're ready to start a podcast, then just go to the podcastprofitsunleashed.com and book a call. See you next week.
Thank you for listening to today's episode on the Podcast Profits Unleashed podcast. If you're